And Shashi. Yeah, Shashi, you can also start recording. Okay, Mother Galaxy. Yeah, cool. Okay. Okay, so last class, I guess on Friday, we discussed about joiner transformation. So today we will discuss about one more important transformation that is called as transaction control. Okay, so we actually add a very quick summary on this transaction control transformation. I told you when we discussed about router transformation, I told you what is the drawback with router and how we can overcome the drawback using this transaction control transformation. So if you guys remember, okay. So this transaction control transformation is basically main reason for using this is for creating dynamic flat files. Okay. So we can just go through the router transformation here first. So we have seen this scenario. We already developed the scenario using a router transformation. So if my requirement is to generate targets for each department, for employees working for each department, if I want to generate a target. So if this is my source where I have employees with different departments, 10, 20, and 30. So I want to generate 3 targets now. Target 1 will have only those employees with department 10. Target 2 will have only those employees with department 20, and target 3 with employees working for department 30. So then what I'll do, I'll just go with a router transformation. I will create 3 groups in my router. In each group condition, I'll give the conditions for group 1 saying department number equals to 10. In group 2, I'll say department number 20, and group 3, I'll say department number equals to 30. So all the incoming records which satisfy the group conditions, any group condition, they will go into that particular group, and from that group I'll take it to my respective targets. So if I have a new employee tomorrow, a new department, and a new employee who is working for this new department, say I have a employees with department 40. So what happens with this current code setup, this 40 will go into my default group. Okay, this 40 will go into my default group. In case if I have already set up a target for default group also, say it is as T4. Okay, in case if this was also done in my coding earlier, then this 40 will go to this particular department. Okay, so still my code is working fine. Assume like after some days there is one more department added, so there are few employees working for this department 50. Then what happens with my current code setup, even this 50 will go to my default group, and even that 50 will go to the same target here, T4. Instead of creating a new target, it will go to the same target, right? So my requirement is broken here. So what was my requirement? I was supposed to create separate targets for employees working for different departments. So my requirement is broken. Assume one more scenario, like after some days I get only records with employees working for department 10 and 20. Then what will happen with my current code? Target 1 will have employees with department 10, target 2 will have employees with department 20, but target 3 and target 4 will still be generated and they will be empty. Okay, So in case if I want to avoid it, so that means based on the source data, I want to generate my targets dynamically. If there are employees with only two departments, I want to generate two targets. If there are employees with three departments, I want to generate three targets. Okay. If there are employees with four departments, I want to generate four targets. Depending on the source, if I want to generate targets dynamically, then router with router I can't do it. That is where I will use a transaction control transformation. So for creating dynamic flat files, we go with transaction control transformation. So in interview, so we can see some scenarios where we can use this transaction control. Like I first told, this one we just discussed. If requirement is to create different flat files for employees belonging to same department. Okay. And this is one scenario. Then if requirement is to create a target flat files for every 1,000 records. And for example, if what is this is, if requirement is to create target files for every 1,000 records, or this number can vary. I can say 1,000 or 100, whatever. So assume like you are getting some 1,000 records in your source. So requirement says if you are getting 1,000 records, you have to create targets. So you have to create targets for every 100 records. Okay. So in target 1, there should be only 100 records. In target 2, there should be only 100 records. Like that, if my source record count is 1,000, dynamically I have to create 10 target files. And in each file, I have to have only 100 records only. It can't be more than 100 or it can't be less than 100 also. So if that is the case, tomorrow, so today you got 1,000 records, you created 10 targets with in each target file you have 100 records. Tomorrow if the count is increased to 1,000, then the 2,000, then the same code should generate me 20 target files. Again in each target file there should be 100 records only. So it can vary. So based on my record count, input record count, I have to generate the target files dynamically. If this is my scenario, in such cases again I can go with transaction control. I can't do this with router or anything else. Then if I want to create 1 year sales report month wise, like January, Feb, March, like month wise, I want to generate the sales report of a company. Then what I can do, I can use this transaction control. Okay. So instead of for this 12 months, you can say like, since we know that in a year there will be only 12 months, it won't vary. We can still go with router. I can create 12 targets, but instead of creating 12 targets, I can achieve it with a single target using my transaction control. In my mapping, I'll create only single target, but when I use transaction control, add my code, it during runtime, it will dynamically create as many targets I want. In all the scenarios here, when I create a mapping, I'll be still creating a one target only. But using transaction control feature, dynamically we will increase the target files. Okay. So, and again, this will be used in your projects also. It is quite common. Like you might get such scenarios where you are not sure about how many target files you have to create. Okay. And again, in interviews, they will ask you. So first thing they will basically go and ask you, just to start with, they'll say, I have employees working for 3 departments. I want to generate targets for each department. So what you will say, how you will achieve it? When they say that I have 3 departments in my source, first option you have to tell is you will do this with router. You will create 3 groups in your router, and from each group you will send it to a different target. Then next question will be, if I am not sure about how many records will, how many departments will be there in my source, then what you will do? Will you still use the router? Then no. Answer should be no. In such cases, we'll go with the transaction control. Okay. So we'll see how to achieve these things. So which one we can try is, yeah. So first we'll see the first scenario only. So I'll explain you two scenarios here. How this will help you how to work on transaction control. Then maybe third one you guys can try it out. Okay. So fine. So let me delete my old mapping. So you guys will be creating new one. You won't be editing in the same. Okay, like I'm doing. You will create a new mapping for every transformation. So okay, so I'll just use my source file so that it will be easy for me to edit it instead of using a table where I have to write a query and all to edit. So I'll use my source as a file here. So source files. Yeah. So this we will take employee data as a source here. So this employee is having these employees are having department working for different departments. Let me keep it. So as of now, I have employees with department 10, 20, 33. Okay. So I have some duplicate records and all, which we added to discuss about how to remove the duplicates, all those things. So I'll just remove the things here, some dummy records. Okay, let this be our data set. So in case if you have duplicates, you want to remove it before using transaction control, so you will use the other transformations what we had earlier, either sorter or all those things. Expression, aggregator, we have seen all those things, right? First you will remove the duplicates, then you will pass your distinct records to the next flow. Okay, this will be my data set. So I have here employees working for department 10, 20, 30. Okay, so now with this data set, we already seen how we can use a router transformation and generate different targets. So same thing we will do it with now transaction control. Okay, so let's start. So my source is a flat file. So I'll take that source. So that source is already created. For that flat file, I have a source already created in my Informatica. I'll just use it. Okay. And one thing to remember here is I can always dynamically create flat files, not tables. Okay. And again, it is not a scenario we will see like I'll create tables for every 100 records, or I'll create tables for every department. So in a real-time scenario, we never create tables, so many tables. Okay. So, and we cannot create tables here dynamically using transaction control. It is only a flat file. Okay. But if I use a target as a table of my transaction control, it won't create multiple tables, but it will do a commit that we'll see it later. Okay. Dynamic creation will be for restricted for flat files here. Okay. So I'll take a target as a flat file now, since I want to create multiple flat files. Okay. Your source can be file or a table. There is no restriction on that. I'm using flat file because I can easily add some records, edit some records and all. If it is a table, I have to use the queries. Okay. That's the reason I'm taking source as a flat file. When you guys practice, you can practice with both file and table. They won't be changed in your code and all. Okay. So when I say I want to create, so they have told you have to dynamically create flat files. So today this file has only employees with departments 10, 20, 30. So you have to create 3 target files. Tomorrow in this file, if I get employees with department 40, you have to create a new record with that department, new target. So if that is my scenario, so then I can't use a router here. So I have to use a So in order to achieve that, I can do it with transaction control, and it to send data to this transaction control, I need to format this input data a little bit so that it will be easy for transaction control to understand what it has to do. With this source data, I can't send it to my transaction control directly. I can still send it, but I can't achieve what I want. So what I'll do is, first I'll create a sorter and sort this data. So I have created a sorter transformation. I'll take all the records from my source qualifier to sorter. So based on what column or attribute I need to generate targets, it is based on the what department number. Based on department number, I have to generate targets here. So in my sorter, I will sort based on the department number. Okay. So I need to, this department number is a key column now for me to generate the target. So I'm sorting on department number. You can sort it on ascending or descending, that doesn't matter. I'm sorting on basic ascending thing here. Then I will create a expression transformation. So in this expression transformation, again, what we have done earlier, we will try to compare two records. Okay, the already processed record and the new current record. We'll try to compare those two records and we'll assign some values to a new port. Okay, so I'll take this. You guys will get to know why I'm trying to do this, all these things. I'll create a variable port here, which will hold the department number. So I'll give the same data type of, that is of department number. You can manually do this, or when you know that you want to create a port similar to your department number only, you can select that department number port. You can say click on this, copy, and you can click on the next icon, paste. So it will create a new port here. So and you can drag and drop wherever you want. I mean, you can move it upwards or direct downwards. So here I will name it as v underscore department number, and I will make it as a variable port, and I will assign the value of my department number here. Same thing what we did when we discussed about expression transformation. So it will hold the previous records department number. So before this port, I'll create one more variable port. I will keep it as a string, 50, say like 50. I'll say it as v flag. I will name it as v flag. And what I'll do is here, I'll say if v department number equals to department number, that is, if the current record department number equals to previously processed record department number, if they are same, I'll say, I'll assign some value, say same department number. To this v flag, I will say it as same department number. Otherwise, I will say new department number. So in this v flag port, based on the comparison of the already processed record and current record department number, it will be assigned with same department number value or new department number value. Okay. Then I want output port similar to this V flag port. So I'll just copy this and paste it. And this one I will name it to output port here. And this I need it I'll take it to the bottom. I will make it as output port. I'll assign the value of V flag into this output port. Since I copied the port, everything, even the logic came here. I'll remove it. That's it. So this will be my expression transformation. So what we are trying to do in our expression transformation is, if we try to understand, this is my input file. I'll just copy a same file and I will show there. Okay. So this was my input file. First time, what I'm doing, I'm passing these records into my sorter. So what your sorter will do? So here I'm sorting in my sorter. I'm sorting on department number from smallest to largest. That is in ascending order. So if I say this will be the output of my sorter. Okay, so all the records with same department will be one after the other. That's what the sorter is doing. Okay, then in my expression, this data set I'm passing into my expression record wise, one after the other. So I have created ports there. I have created V flag port first, then V department number, then the O flag. Right? Okay, I have to take it in a new one better. So yeah, so these are the ports here. So here V flag and V department are variable ports and O flag is the output port. So how the port assignment will happen? What is the order? First, all input ports are assigned. So all these, for the first record, all these ports are assigned with the value because they are input ports. Then which ports? Variable ports will be assigned. And what is the order of assignment within variable ports? It is top to bottom. So first V flag will be assigned with value, then the V department number. So what I am saying in V flag, what is the condition I have given? If V department number equals to department number. So I'm checking V department number, which is null right now, is equals to department number, that is 10. So null is not equals to 10. So the condition fails here. It returns me false. If this condition is false, what if function will do? It will return me the third argument value, that is department number, new department number. So this will be saved in my V flag. Then I am assigning V department with the department number, that is 10. O flag equals to V flag, that is new department number. So for the first record, this is how the ports will be assigned with values. Then second record comes here. Same thing again. I will check whether V department number equals to the second record department number. It is equal. So if it is equal, I'm saying same department number. Okay. And now V department will be assigned with the department number. Here O flag equals to V flag. Gone, done. Then third record comes. Again, department numbers are same. So same value will be assigned here. Fourth record comes. V department is not equals to department. So it will be assigned with this value now. Department, and it will be 20. Okay. Then for all the other records with the same department number, Again, they will be processed one after the other. I'm just showing it. It will be assigned like this. Okay, because they have the same department number. Then the next set of department number comes, that is with 30. Here again 20 is not equals to 30. So new department number will be assigned here. Then for all the other, so this is how the expression transformation will assign the values. Okay, now, so this is what I get. Why I am doing this is, when I send the data to this transaction control, I want to tell when I am getting a new department. So for the first time here I am getting a new department. Okay, again when I am getting a new department here, again here. So I am trying to group the records here, nothing else. I am trying to group the records in my expression transformation. So whenever there is a new department, this output flag, this is what will be used to the expression. I can't send v flag to expression because it is a variable port. We can't move variable ports to the next level of the transformations. They are temporarily used in a transformation, within a transformation. So I am grouping the records here. Whenever there is a new flag, o flag equals to new department number, that means we are getting a record with new department. See, so whenever there is a o flag equals to same department, it is equals to the previous department number only. That's what it is telling me. Okay, with this data I will send it to a transaction control. Now I'll go to create transformations, create, and I'll select T. So this is my transaction control. Naming convention is TC underscore. Okay, I'll say generate target based on department number, some meaningful name. I'll move all the records from my expression transformation to my target transaction control. So we won't get any default ports here. If I open my transaction control, here also in transaction control, I can add any ports if I want, but we have only input and output port. There is no variable port. Okay, transaction control has only input and output port. Okay, then coming to properties section, tracing level, as I told, it is for a logging purpose. We have only one attribute here, transaction control condition. Okay, transaction control conditions. If I open it, by default it will be assigned with the keyword TC continue transactions. So in this transaction control condition, I can use 5 of the transaction control keywords, that is these things. I can use TC continue transaction, or TC commit before, TC commit after, TC rollback before, TC rollback after. We'll see what are they. So it is highlighted in blue here, that is because it is a keyword. If I try to add something here, that blue is gone. Okay, so if I try this, it's valid. If I add something, it is not valid. Okay, so validate, done. So I'll keep it as it is. So TC continue transaction is the default value what we will get when we use a transaction control. So as of now, I'll just keep it as it is. I won't make any change. And from this transaction control, I'll move it to my target. Okay, we'll just try to see what the TC continue transaction will do, the default value. Okay, I will save this work. So my mapping is valid. There are no errors. To run it, I'll go to my workflow. I'll refresh my session, refresh mapping. I'll go to the session mappings tab. Target, I will say truncate before load. Sorry, it is a target is a flat file. So I'll give the path. I will say name, say like okay, transaction control output something. Then source file path I'll give. Path where my source file is there. It's employee underscore data. File name is correct. So I'll say okay. So I'll just run this flow. It will disconnect in 2 minutes, guys. Once it disconnects, we'll connect quickly again. Okay. So employee data, it had 21 records, all records loaded into my file. So which is this one? Which is the file? March 2020. We have, okay. Okay, I think I didn't delete them. Cool. Let me check. So if I go to my target, where the target file is created, it will be in InfaShare target files, March 2020. Yeah, you can see the target file created here, TC output. Okay. It has those records. Why it got generated? It has taken 21 records is I just deleted them. I didn't delete the records in my source file. I just deleted the records. So, but not the entire record. I just deleted the values in those records. So they were still moved as a null records. Okay. That's why. So we can just consider this. So all the records are loaded. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if we use the condition TC continue transaction, there won't be any difference. It will just pass through the records. So in transaction control, we say records as something called as transactions. So in TC continue transaction means it will just continue the transactions. It will just pass through the transaction control. So normally we use this transaction control keywords with use on top of some functions, like something called as if on some value, if something is equals to, like say department number, okay, equals to 10, then this transaction TC continue transaction, or use some other TC commit before something. We will use, normally we will use it like this, then it will be effective. That's what we'll be seeing now. Okay, something like this, so it's valid. Okay, so I think it will disconnect in a minute, so let's reconnect. I'll end this meeting, then we can continue. Okay. Okay, yeah, some issues. Maybe we can start. You guys can start the recordings.
Okay.
And just a reminder, guys, if you want, you can rename the files, whatever is saved already, in case if you have not renamed it. There is an option actually in your Zoom settings. You can set an option to save the files with timestamp. I think if we use that, the files will be saved with timestamp so that it won't overwrite. Maybe you guys can just explore that option once. Okay. So yeah, let's start. Bhushan might start. He has some connectivity issue. Might connect in some time. Okay. So what I was saying, if I use it, connect to guys, can you go on mute? Yes. Someone has not started. Okay. Okay, so if TC continued transaction means it will just pass all the records. There won't be any action taken. So we can see what other conditions mean here. We have other four conditions. So I will open the help document. So it will be more clear here. Say I'll search with the keyword for something. Yeah. So transaction control variables. Okay. So if you see, this is how we normally use the transaction controls, as I was telling you, with some if function or decode function and all. So for the first one, what is TC continue transaction? If I use a TC continue transaction, TC stands for transaction control here. Okay. The Power Center integration service does not perform any transaction change for the current row. So whichever record pass through it, so even here also the rows will be processed one after the other. So for that particular row, there won't be any transaction change. Just notice this. This is not the records change. I mean, we are not changing the content of the records, values of the records attribute. It is something called as transaction change. We'll see what it is. So if it is TC continued transaction, they won't integration service will not perform any transaction change for the current row. This is the default transaction control variable value. Okay. So as we just saw, when I used TC transaction control, TC continued transaction, there was no change. Then if we use something called as TC commit before, if I use a TC commit before, the Power Center integration service commits the transaction, begins a new transaction, and writes the current row to the target. The current row is in the new transaction. So let's try to understand what they're trying to say here. Okay, so to tell you that, what I'll do, I'll add a condition here now. In this, I will say, instead of just saying TC continue transaction, as we just saw, it will just pass through the records. I'll say if we have used we have generated the values for this O flag in our expression transformation. I'll use it. So this expression, this value O flag will hold either value as same department number or value as new department number for each of the records. These are the two values which might be present in this O flag port, right? So I will use that and I will say if O flag equals to this particular thing, if O flag equals to new department number, I'll say TC commit before, else TC continue transaction. Okay, this is my condition which will generate me new targets for same department records. How we'll see it. So this will be my condition. I am saying O flag equals to, if O flag equals to new department number, TC commit before. Then otherwise, if it is same, otherwise means it will be same department number, right? Because my O flag will have only these two values. So otherwise we are saying TC continue transaction. So with this, let's see what happens. So I'll take one more image to explain this. So my first record comes here, the record number 1. Assume this is my record number. Uh, okay, this is my record. Okay, it is of department 10 year. So I have a transaction control year. Okay, this is my transaction control where I have this method, uh, this logic. So let's see. For this first record, what is my O flag? It is new department number, right? So it is having value as new department number. So it goes here. What I am saying in my transaction control, if it is equals to new department number, yeah, in my case it is new department number, TC commit before. That means this transaction in this, for the first record, this will be executed, TC commit before. Then what it is doing? So let's go back to our definition of TC commit before here and try to understand. If it is TC commit before, it commits the transaction. That means commits the transaction means if there were any earlier transactions, then those transactions will be committed. Since this is my first record, there are no earlier transactions, so nothing gets commit. For the first record, I am saying TC commit before means what it will do? It will basically commits your earlier transactions. Okay, if there are any earlier transactions, it will commit it. Then it will begin a new transaction. Then it will begins a new transaction and writes the current row to the target. Here they say the current row will be in your new transaction. That means for TC, if it is TC commit before, if there are any earlier before transactions, if there are anything, those will be committed and a new transaction will be generated. So assume we have a new transaction here. So I will just show this as a new transaction. This new transaction, this current row, whatever is there, it will go to into this new transaction. That's it. So we'll try to understand when the next for the next record, when we get this commit before, we'll understand it better. Okay, I'll make this new transaction something like this big. Okay, assume this is a new transaction. So what commit before will do? If there are any earlier transaction, those will be committed and this new and a new transaction will be created, and the current row whatever is there, it will go to my new transaction. For the first record, there was no earlier transactions, so nothing was there to commit. Next, second record comes with the same department number equals to 10 and its O flag is same department number. So for the second record, since it is same department number, what I am telling, TC continue transaction. So what the continue transaction will do? The power center does not perform any transaction chain for the current row. This is default transaction. So it won't make any changes. Since it is the O flag value of this second record is same department number, it won't make any changes. So I'm saying continue transaction, it will go to this new transaction again. It will go to the existing transaction now. So for the second record, it is an existing transaction now, so it will go there. Then the third record comes again. For the third record, it is having value same department number, so condition will be false. TC continue transaction will be applied, so even this third record will go to the existing transaction. Now if you see, the next record comes here, which is of department 20, right? So if you see here, it is of department 20, the fourth record. Its value is O flag equals to new department number. So when it is new department number, I'm saying TC commit before. So what happens now is, so this fourth record comes in this transaction record. For this fourth record, it will return me TC commit before. So what TC commit before does is, what we have what is the definition? It will commit the earlier transactions. Whatever was there, those will be committed. That means, so it commits the transaction. Whatever the existing transaction was there, it will be committed. What is the existing transaction? This one, which has the 3 records. These will be committed. When I say committed, they will be sent to a target. So if you know SQL, we apply commit, right? So what it will do, when I say commit, it will commit the changes in my target, in my table. Same like that, when we say commit for a flat file, so those particular transactions will be committed to a one particular target. So now for this particular record, I'm saying TC commit before. Whatever the earlier transactions were there, that is the existing transaction which has these 3 records, it will be committed. Next, again a new transaction will be created, and this new record, this current record, will go to this new transaction. That's what commit before will do. Hope it's clear. Let me know in case if it's confusing. So where, just remember that commit before, TC commit before means whatever the earlier records or earlier transactions are there, those will be committed, and the current record will be going into a new transaction. That's it. So next, again there are 3 records with what? O flag equals to same department number. For each of these records, TC continue transaction will be executed. So those 3 records will go to the existing transaction again. So in this transaction now I have 4 records where all those 4 records are with department 20. Next, a new record comes with department 30. Okay. So for this record, O flag is new department number. So TC commit before will be executed again here. Okay. For this particular record, TC commit before will be executed. So what happens? Whatever the existing transactions are there, those will be committed. So this will get committed. When I say committed, it will go into one target, and this new record, so existing transactions will be committed, a new transaction will be created. Okay. And this current record will go into this new transaction. That's what commit before will do. Okay. And all the remaining records, how many? 5 records we have. It has value same department number. So TC continue transaction will be executed here for all the remaining 5. So all this will go into this particular transaction as it they evaluate TC continue transaction. So this will go into another target. So this is what commit before will do. Okay, this is what commit before will do. If we see, then what is commit after? It is reverse of commit before. So if we want to see what is commit after now, okay, I think Bhushan joined. Yeah. Okay. So that is what commit before. What commit before will do? It will commit the earlier transactions, creates a new transaction, and my current record goes to the new transaction. This point you need to remember, current record goes to new transaction. If I say TC commit after, my current record will also go to the existing transaction, then this transaction will be committed, then a new transaction will be created. That is the difference. Okay, very simple. So if you understand before, after is very simple. It writes the current row to the target. That means it will commits the transaction. So whatever existing transaction was there, even your current row will go to that existing transaction. After that, it will be committed. Then a new transaction will be created. In this case, the current row will be in the committed transaction. What I have committed already, this one, in that my current row goes. That is commit after. So first I will commit the transaction, and then after means after that I will create a new transaction. So my current row will be in my committed transaction. When I say commit before, first I will commit the existing transaction, then I will create a new transaction. So my current row will be in the new transaction. Okay, based on your requirement, whether you can use either commit before or commit after. In order to achieve my logic here, to generate different targets for same department numbers, I am using commit before. If I had used commit after, what could have happened? If I had used commit after, even this record with department 20 would have gone to the first target only, because commit after means the record will go to the committed transaction, then a new transaction will be created. So it won't help me to achieve my requirement. So I am using a commit before. Similarly, this is for committing. Same thing we have for rollback after and rollback before. So rollback before means it will roll back the current transaction, then begins a new transaction. The current row will be in the new transaction. Okay, same thing whatever we discussed for commit, same thing is for rollback. Okay, and rollback before and after. So but for generating dynamic flat files and all, either we use commit before or commit after based on the requirement, how we want to get the data in the target files. So guys, let me know if you didn't understand this commit before and commit after. So if you don't understand this, then you are not understanding the transaction control itself. So if you want me to repeat one more time, I can do it, or if you have understood, let me know. Guys, yes, no?
Not completely understood, but I think I need to practice to know. Maybe
Cool. So
I'm not sure that I am 100% understood.
yeah, yeah, I got it. But on a high level, at least you are understanding, right, what it is doing. So
Yeah.
commit before means earlier transactions will be committed, then a new transaction will be created. Your current row will go to new transaction. Commit after means whatever is there will be committed. New transaction will be, sorry, commit after means your current row also will go to the commit existing transaction. It will be committed, and then a new transaction will be created. So in your new transaction, it will be empty as of now. So the current record will go to the committed transaction. That's it. Before, after, if you understand that word, you will understand. When I say before this record is processed, commit everything whatever was there, then take this record. That's it. After means take this record also, commit it, then start with the new process or a new transaction. If that is clear, done. Before means first commit whatever was there, then process my record. After means take this record also, then after that do the commit. That's it. Okay, so with this condition, if I take it, so that's why in order to apply this condition, I have created these things in my expression transformation. So just go through this again. If you want to if you have any doubts, you guys can ask me here. Okay, don't hesitate to ask any queries. So with this, if I run now, so I'll just keep these things, I'll refresh it, and I will run my workflow. So 13 records we got, and those 13 records went into my target. If I go to my target, so I see all those 13 records here in my target file. Why? Because still it didn't create a dynamic flat files for me. Okay, so let's see. What is the okay? Okay. Issue is, if you see, I'm sending this O flag to count. Okay, so O flag is something a kind of a string which I am passing to a string here. 1 second. O flag 50/50, correct? And I'm passing it to count. So anyway, we don't want this O flag value, same department number, new department number. That is just for our logic purpose. I removed it, and still I think there is some issue. Let's check again. 1 second. Refresh. If there is a issue, I can show you one more property in Informatica to debug the things. Hope we get this issue. Yes. Okay, so I have all the records here only. Okay, in one file. It is not generating me multiple files. And if I want to get a header, okay, as I've already told you, in targets you can use this header options. It was no header, I'll say output field names. So target port names will be used as the header here in my target file. So if you say this, so now this file has a header also, target file. If you want to get the header, you can use that option. Okay, let's see why it didn't create multiple files. So assume you have developed something and you are facing some issues. Okay, you want to debug. Then there is an option for debugging in Informatica that is called as a debugger, Informatica debugger. So if you go to the mappings tab, at the end you can see the debugger option here. I will say start debugger. So then you can just read this, what is debugging and all. So here you can say use an existing session instant, use an existing reusable, or create a debug session. If you want to create a separate session for debugging, you can select this option. It will create a separate session. I'm just using the existing session instance only. In the same session, it will run as a debugger now. It will run in a debugging mode. I'll say next. This is the session where we are running. I'll say next. Discard target load. If I enable this, since it is a just for debugging, if you don't want to load the data to the target during this debug run, you can enable this. It won't load the data to the target when I run this in debug mode. Discard target data means it won't load the data to the target. But if you feel like, no, still for test run also I want to load the data to the target also, then you can remove this functionality. Then it will load the data to the target. So this functionality you can use it in any of the mappings. Okay, it's not like for transaction control you have to use it. Whenever you are facing any issues, you want to debug the things, you can use this property, debugger. You can start the debugger. I just say discard target data, finish. So now it is running in debugging mode. Again, you can go to mappings tab here. Now I'll say debuggers next instance. So when I say next instance, or I can press F10 also. I'll say next instance. So what happened? See, can you see this? Okay. So yeah, let me open the file. Yeah, this is my file. This was the data. So the first record it got processed into my source qualifier. SQEMP data is my source qualifier. So it is showing me how the values are coming in each of the ports in my source qualifier for the first record. So I can see in case if there is any issue in any of the port wherever value is not coming correctly, I can check it here. So now I will press F10 to go to next instance. So what happened? The next record came here. So what was the second record? It was with employee 7521. So that record came here. So like that, when I each of the records will be processed and how they, okay. So let me complete all the records. So which was the last record? 7934. So let me stop at that point. Okay. So this is my last record. So all the records got processed in my source qualifier. So if you are facing some issue with some one of the record, then you can see at in which level, in which transformation that record value got corrupted or changed and all those things. Now I'll press F10. So it went to my sorter. So once all the records are processed in my source qualifier, it went to my sorter. You can see this yellow mark in the sorter now. So here also in the instance, it is sorter. So now as soon as it went into the sorter, you can see the first record got changed. In my source qualifier, the first record was 7499. In the sorter, it got changed to 7782 because we already sorted the data in the sorter. So that sorted data I can see now. So now you can say whether the data got sorted correctly or not in this debugger mode. So 7782, that is the department 10. So it is showing me the sorted data. So I will say F10 again. Now from sorter, it went to the expression. So in the expression, you can see the values which we assigned to the variable ports. So this debugging, you can do it for my last session also when we discussed about the expression transformations. When we created sequences using expressions, when we created ranks using expressions, you can check this. You can run that code in a debugging mode and you can see how the variable ports, output ports are assigned with the values, whether your logic is working correctly or not. So V flag is assigned with new department number because of the condition what we have given in my new flag. V department equals to new department. So then V department will be executed. It is assigned with department number value. Then O flag is assigned with V flag. So for the first record, this is how it is coming. So the same thing what I have shown here in the sorter, right? That I can check it in my debugger. Then I can press F10. It went to my transaction control. So what got executed? So TC commit before got executed here because if we said if O flag equals to new transaction, do a TC commit before. So TC commit before got executed for this particular record. So what TC commit before will do, if there were any earlier transactions, they will be committed and this new record will, this particular record will go to a new transaction. So then again I will press F10. So again it came to sorter. The next record, expression, same department number. Now if you see, it is going to TC continue transaction. Okay. So then all records go to TC continue transaction. Then a new record with the record with 20 comes, it goes for TC commit before. So whatever I explained, same thing happens. So in debugger mode, you can see in each of the transformation for each record how the values are getting assigned. Okay. So like this, at any point of time, if you are analyzed and you have found the issues and all, you need not to process all the records also. If you are understood, you can go to mapping debugger and stop debugger also. Okay, or if you want, you can keep on running until all the records are processed. I'm pressing F10. You can press F10, or every time you can go to mapping debugger and say next instance. That is also fine. Shortcut is F10. Okay, done. So once it is done, it will come out of the debugger mode to your normal mode. So this is how you can run your code in a debugging mode. Okay, so to check whether what is the issue and all at any point of time. Okay, so now I didn't get anything there, any useful information. So everything was assigned. Shit. Transaction control. Okay, this is perfect. New department number. What I missed. ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ತಡಿಯ, ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ. Okay, this is correct only. Maybe. Okay, thing is, yeah, I think I missed that here. Okay, so I told you I am creating multiple. Okay, it will disconnect in a minute. We'll connect again quickly. Okay, so what I think, what is the issue is we are trying to create multiple files, but nowhere we specified what should be the file name, right? That we have not done. That's why it is not able to create new files. I will show you how to give the names for the files which are created dynamically. That we'll see. It will disconnect in some minutes, in some seconds. So we'll just quickly connect, guys, once it disconnects, for one more session, maybe for another half an hour. Then we'll end up. Okay, so you guys can start recording. Shashi, Manoj. Okay. So as I told, this transaction control will generate new dynamically. It will create the target files. So based on the condition what I have given here, right? So I have to give the names for these files. So I have only single target here, but based on the source record, it will dynamically create me the files. So since I have only target in my target, I have given that file name. For that particular target, I have given the file name. So since it is generating the targets dynamically, I have to pass the file names for those files also dynamically. Okay, for that, what we have is, this is my target. So for each target, what we create, there is an option. So this is my target file. So if my target is a flat file, if I double click it, if I go to for column section, okay, if my target is a flat file, if I go to the column section in my target designer, if I open it and go to columns, you can see this option at the end. Yeah, it says add file name column to this table. So if I click this, it will create me a port called file name. You can place it anywhere you want. Okay, okay. Discard. 1 second. Double click columns. I'll take it. I'll take my cursor down and I'll click this. So this file name will be created at the end. If you want to have it at the end, since ports are the record data. So what this port will hold is, it will hold the file name of the files which are created. If I pass some value to this port in my mapping, whatever value I pass to this port in the mapping level, that value will be taken as the name for the file. It will be taken as a file name. Okay, like other ports, this file name port is a default port which comes for the targets if it is a flat file. If I use this port, I can use this port in my target designer. I have used this now, apply OK. So this port will reflect in all the target, in all the mappings where I have used that target. So whatever value I pass to this file name, that will be taken as the file's name. Okay, it won't be a record, it will be not be in the record, it will be taken as the file name. So let's generate a name for that. How I'll generate is, in my expression, I'll create one more port, say like o underscore file name. So I need to pass a value to that port, right? So that I'll generate here some of 50. I'll make it output port. So expression tab will be enabled. Whatever name you want, whatever names you want to give to that file, you can give it here. I will say like file or department, okay, underscore pipe symbol, then I will say the department number, some meaningful file name. Okay, then pipe, so I'm appending it with these things, dot, say like I want to create it as a CSV file, validate. Okay, this is some name I am giving for the files. I'll say apply OK, okay. So this file name I'll take it to my transaction control, and from my transaction control I will take it to my tab. Okay, save it, refresh my mapping, and I'll rerun it now. Okay, 13 records were taken, loaded to target. If I go to my target output path now, you can see the files created here. So I can see multiple files. So let me delete many files got created. Okay, ran. So now if I go to my target, so I can see 4 files. So this particular file is the name what I have given in my workflow session level for this particular target. Okay, tc output.csv. So that file will be created. If I go and check the what is there in that file, it will have only the header. Okay, then I'll go to the second file, department 10. If you see here, it has only records with department 10 here. So I have given some meaningful name to this file, department underscore 10, so that I will understand that this file have only the employees working for department 10. Department 20 file has only records with department 20. Department 30 has only records with department 30. Okay, so this is how I can dynamically create flat files using transaction control. Now assume like in my source, I'll go to my source file, March 2020. This was my source file. I'll add 2 more records. another four, total four records. So for two records, I'll say department 40, and for one department 50, for another one department 60, assume it's okay departments. So I won't change anything in my code. Okay, nothing will be changed in my code, nothing in my mapping, nothing. So I'll just rerun. So my source got changed. So those 17 records are loaded. Now if I go and check my target, okay, so where is it? Target files, March 2020. So I can see I added records with department 40. So they came in different target file, department 50 and department 60. So dynamically it is creating me, right? So if I reduce the records with only two input and based on the data how I am passing here to transaction control in my expression, based on that it is dynamically creating the targets. So whenever it says commit, means it will move all those transactions into one target if your target is a file. If your target is a table, instead of this uh, flat file as a target, if I use a table as a flat file, then it will work as your simple commit operation of your SQL. You know how what commits does, right? So assume you are inserting some 10 million records into a table. So you ensure like for every 10,000 records, you will ensure you are running a commit. What commit will do? It will commit those records. Once the commit query is ran, those records will be committed to the table. Okay, otherwise in between, in case if you are not used to commit, you are use the commit at the end of your script. After 10 million records are inserted, you are use the commit. So assume like 10,000 records were inserted, and due to some reason your process got aborted, then those 10 records will not be there in your table until you commit it. They temporarily exist in the table. So once the commit is executed, whatever transactions were there before that commit, they will get into the table. They will be committed in the table. So that same operation will be applied here if I use a transaction control on a target which is a table. If it is a flat file, it will create multiple flat files. Okay, so same thing, you can do it on a table also. You can use a table, but it won't create as many tables I want. It will do a commit for once for all the department records. 10 records are processed, it will do a commit. Then department 20 records are processed, it will do a commit. Then next departments, it will do a commit. If you are used TC commit before, if you are used TC commit before, after, then as the commit after functionality, it will do the commits on the tables. Okay, so just to show you guys, if I use a instead of TC commit before, if I use a after, my code won't work. Means code won't work means as I want, my requirement will not be satisfied. So I'll say control as save, refresh. So done. It's completed now. If I go to my target, see one extra record also. In department 30, you will see one extra record with department 30, because this record came since I have told commit after. This record also will go into the existing transaction, then your commit will happen, then a new transaction will start. That's why I didn't use commit after, I used commit before. Okay, so you can use the both and check it. So if I want to achieve it, I will use the commit before. So this is again an interview question. They will ask you So you should be aware of. And so quickly we will see one more scenario, that is of generating every 1,000 records. So this records only, they might tell you 5 records. Based on that, you have to change your logic. So since we have limited number of records in our source, so this is my source here. This is my source file. So it has around 18 records. I will copy the same record set again. How many times? Okay. So now if we say how many records we have, count is 52. Okay. So 52 it is. So assume like I want to get every 10 records, I want to generate a target now. Okay. What I can do with, how can I do it? So if it is 52, I have to generate 6 targets total. In first 5, it will be 10 records. Then in the last target, it will be 2 records. If it is 62, I have to generate 7 targets. So dynamically, I have to generate the targets. So what I can do is, for that, I don't think I need a sorter. Let me delete these things now. Or let me delete the sorter. Okay, I need a sorter also. So now the thing is, I need to generate the targets based on what? Based on the record count, right? Based on the record count. So for that, first I need to generate the record counts for my records. Like for record 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That record count I need to generate. So how can I generate the record counts? I can generate using my sequence generator. So I'll use one more transformation here, sequence generator. Okay. Then okay, I don't think I need a sorter. Let me remove it. Okay. So I'll link all the records. So this logic I will remove here as of now, which was for my department number. Okay, let me remove everything, otherwise it will be confusing for you. Okay. Okay, I have a source qualifier now. So I have used a sequence generator. What I'll do, I will use a expression transformation again. I'll say create exp done. So I'll take all the ports from my source qualifier to expression. This next val port also from sequence generator, I'll take it to expression. I know this next val will hold the record count. How the sequences should be generated, I will handle here in my sequence generator. So if you guys see how I want sequences is in order to get data. So this is what my records, right? So assume like I have a port called nextval this, or the port name is nextval, which hold the sequence. So how I want to generate sequences in this port is something like this. I want to generate in each target, I need to have 10 records. So the sequence how I will generate is something like this. If I'm able to generate the sequences like this, after 10, again I have to start with 2. So in case if I'm able to generate the sequences for the records in this fashion, okay, then in my transaction control, I can say if next val equals to 10, commit after. If next val equals to 10, do commit after, so that this record will also go into the existing transaction, else TC continue transaction. So I can do that. So at this point, it will do a commit after. At this point, it will do a commit after like this. Year, and year, it will do a commit after like this. So it goes on based on my record count. So whatever the record count is, my logic will work. So first thing is I need to generate the sequences in this fashion. Then only in my transaction control I'll be able to achieve it. So if they say you need to generate 10 records in each target, you'll generate sequences like this. If they ask you to generate sequences every 100 records, sorry, to generate targets every 100 records, you'll generate the sequences from 1 to 100, then again 1 to 100, 1 to 100, 1 to 100. Okay, depending on the count what they say, you have to generate the sequence. So you have to tell this logic actually, basically. That's why I'm telling. Okay, so let's try to get this sequence. How can I get it? Very simple here. I'll say end value equals to 10. So it will start from the current value. Okay, it will increment by 1, and it will keep on incrementing till this end value is reached. Once this end value is reached, again this, it will start with the start value, increment by 1, and again it will keep on incrementing till 10. Once the end value is reached, I'm saying cycle here. So once the end value is reached, again the start value. Okay, so this is my setting in my sequence generator. Reset. If I rerun it again, it has to start from the current value only. Every time when I run it, it has to start from current value. That's why I'm saying reset. Cycle means once it reaches the end value, again it has to do a cycle. That is, it has to start from the start value. So with this setting, if I say apply, okay, this next val I am passing here, so it will have the record counts. Okay, then here I will have a file name port also, since I need to generate the file names for the target files. What we can say here is file maybe what I can say is let's see, file underscore something pipe for pass next val left 10 only, I guess. Okay, okay, let's see, dot csv, validate. Okay, okay, done. Then I'll take my transaction control. I'll select all, move to my transaction control. Now in my transaction control, I will say if next val equals to 10, commit after. See, I am using commit after now. Okay, done. Okay, apply. Okay, I think next val will always be 10 year for this port. So I'll say something like I'll create one more port. Say v count. I'll say integer. I'll make it output port. Okay. Or variable port v count +1. So let this be so that it will be always unique, because next valve I think it will give me every time 10 only. So all file names will be same and it will overwrite. Okay, let's see what this value will give me. We validate something. Okay, apply. Okay, done. Okay, here I had sent. Where is my target? I'll select all. Here my next val I don't want. I'll remove this. If you want to have the next val count, if you want, you can send it. No issues with that. Okay. If you don't want, you can remove it also. This is just next records. Why I'm generating is for my purpose. If you want to see what it is coming, you can send it. I'll save this. Okay. Then let me run my session. Start the workflow. So 51 records were there, got processed. Target files, if I go and check. Okay, let me remove the old ones, otherwise it will be confusing. Let me rerun. See, it created me 6 files. For the file 1, I will have 10 records. The first 10 records are there. Okay. It is having file 1, then file 11. It is from having records from 11 to 20. So every file is having 10 records. So you can cross check when you guys create it. So it will be the records from 21 to 30. So I will quickly, we can see it if you want. Where is it? This is my file. 21 to 30 is something this. If I check this particular file, Scott to Martin. So Martin to Miller, whatever data I passed. Where is it? This one. Martin to Miller. It is, close this. I'll take my exact source file which I had taken to run this. Okay. 31. Okay. So Miller to break. So that is from, okay, this is from 21 to 30. Johnson. Why it got changed here? Martin to Miller. 1 second. I think there is some mistake here. Target files. March. Allen to Adams. Yeah, this is correct. First 10 records. Then the next one. If I take the next one. James to Johns. Yeah, James to Johns. Yeah, it is correct. I was checking from 11 to 21. First record is a header, so we can ignore that. So for every 10 records, it is generating me a file. Okay, so based on your input, so if you increase the records, again you will get multiple records here. Same wise, it will keep on incrementing. So this is how you can create the dynamic targets. So this particular file will be having only the header and all other files will take the header information from this file and generate the header, and data anyway it is coming from the transaction control. That's how it works. So this particular file will be a reference for all other files to get the header, and data will be coming based on the transaction control logic. Clear? So hope I'm able to convince you what is transaction before and after. I showed you both examples to make it more clear. If I use before year, first 9 records only will come. In file, I'll get only 9 records. The 10th record will go to the next transaction. Okay. So like this, if you want, you can try it out one more scenario. So everything is same. The other one is to create a 1 year report month-wise. So you can have a dummy data where you have a column for some 10 records for month January, 10 records for February, 10 records for every amount of records. Then segregate, group the records based on month. You have to consider the month field as your key field. First, you have to sort the records based on that month field. Then in your expression transformation, like I did for department, you have to check when I'm getting a new month. Based on that logic, you can use in your transaction control, commit before. So I have shown you both cases, okay, where you can generate the records without using that expression, having checking previous record and currently processed record and all, and with just with the sequence generator. And one more is, already I showed this department where you'll check whether you are getting a new department. Same, these two will be same. Here to generate reports for a month wise, you have to check when I am getting a new month. So you have to first sort the records month wise, then you have to check it. Okay. So that is about transaction control. So this will be the third one will be your assignment for you. So this is what they will ask you about the transaction control. Okay. They will ask you these scenarios actually. So you should be able to explain it how you can achieve it using transaction control, sorter, and expression. If you don't sort the data, you can't apply the logic of expression transformation. Without the logic of expression transformation, you can't apply the logic of transaction control. Okay, they are all combined. So last thing before ending up, transaction types. I think Jay, last class you were asking me about what transaction types. So we have discussed already about this. Let me reiterate the things again. So in Informatica, we have so many transformations. Those transformations, we can divide it into two types. One is active transformation, one is passive transformation. When can we say a transformation as active? If it satisfies any of these three conditions. If it changes the number of rows, when I say number of rows means if I'm passing 10 records to a transformation, if the output of the transformation, if the transformation has a capability to change that record count from 10 to 15, it can increase or decrease. If it is able to change the record count, if that transformation has a capability to change the number of records, that is record count, then we tell it as an active transformation. Then if it changes the transaction boundary, as we discussed now, based on the conditions of transaction transformation, I'm able to change the transaction boundary. So this feature satisfied by only transaction control transformation. So transaction control is active since it satisfies the second point, changes the transaction boundary, or if it changes the row type, this we will still see what it is. Okay, right now we have seen two cases, changes the number of rows and changes the transaction boundary. If any of the transformations satisfy any of these three conditions, it is like a or. Okay, if it satisfies any one of these three, it is called active. Passive means if it doesn't satisfy, none of these features are satisfied. If it doesn't change the number of rows, if it don't change the number of rows, don't change the transaction boundary, or don't changes the row type, it is kind of and. Okay, if none of these are satisfied, then it is called as a passive. So for interview, this is purely for interview purpose. This will nowhere help you in your coding and all, just for a knowledge. So in interview, they will ask you questions. What are the types of transformations they might ask you? You can say active and passive. Otherwise, they will ask you what is active transformation, what is passive transformation. You have to give this definition. Then they will pick up some transformations and they will ask you whether it's the active or passive. You have to tell us it's active or passive. If you tell, then they will ask you the reason why it is active. If you say some transformation is active, they'll ask you why. So these are the four set of questions they will ask you in this transformation types, and it is a pakka 100% question. They will ask you for sure. What are what are the transformation types? What is active transformation? What is passive transformation? Whether this particular transformation is active or passive, and the reason behind it. Okay. So we have already discussed about few transformations. Source qualifier, if it is a table, it falls under active because we can change the record count in our SQL query. We can add a where clause. We can restrict the records. If we use distinct property, we can remove the duplicates. So it will change the number of rows. So source qualifier is active if it is used as a table. If it is used as a flat file, it will be a passive because SQL query or distinct options will be disabled. If in my source qualifier, it is used as if it is used as a flat file. Then filter, main reason for using a filter is used to filter out the unwanted records based on the filter condition. So it will change the number of rows. So it is a active transformation. Sorter, it still it a sorter, it just sort the data, but still we say it as active because it has a distinct property. Whenever we use this distinct property, if there are any duplicate records, they will be removed. So sorter is a active. Since it removes, it changes the row count. Aggregator, it groups the records, so it changes the number of rows. So it is a active. Router is active if incoming rows. If my one of my rows satisfy multiple router group conditions, then that row will fall into different groups. So it is a active. We have discussed one particular scenario also to explain why router is active. If a incoming record satisfy multiple group conditions, that record will go to both the groups. From both groups, it can go to different targets. So single record might go into different groups. So it will increase the record count. So it is a active. Union, we have discussed, it is also active, though it doesn't increase or decrease the count. We say it active because the output of the router, the records will not be preserved. That means though I pass a sorted data to the union transformation, output of union might be unsorted data. I can't preserve the record positions, ordering of the records. That's why we call it as active. Rank, we have discussed, based on the number of ranks property I set, it will remove the records. So it is active. Transaction control is active, the one we discussed now, because it changes the transaction boundary. The definition for transaction control, why it is active, because it changes the transaction boundary. All other transactions what we discussed right now, they are active because they changes the number of rows. Okay, these are the transformations we discussed. Joiner, again, joiner we saw yesterday last class. It is also active because based on my join condition, I can get more records or less records, right? That's why joiner is a active again. So sequence generator, we just saw it how to use. It generates only the sequences, so it is a passive. It doesn't change the number of rows, changes the transaction boundary or row type, so it is active. Filter, if I pass the filter condition as true, then it will pass all the records, it won't filter any records. Then in such cases, filter will act as a passive. Okay, so we'll keep on seeing come to this page again when we discuss about other transformations. We have update strategy to discuss, normalizer to discuss, we have Java to discuss, we have SQL, stored procedure, lookup. These are the transformations we are left out with. So in another, this week before weekend, I'll try to complete all these transformations so that on weekend or from next week we'll start with the SCDs, single dimension. Okay. Hello? I think we'll be disconnecting in 1 minute. So if you guys have any queries, let me know quickly. If you want, we can connect or we can discuss again in the next class. We have less than 1 minute now. If you do you guys want to connect quickly for any queries to answer, we can quickly connect back. Or tomorrow's class, if you have any doubts, we can clear, or you can ping me in WhatsApp. Okay, we can do anything.
Thank you, Sandesh.
Okay, fine then. Thank you. Bye.